Well, hello everyone and welcome to another 8 p.m. live stream. I have a special guest. I have Andre Walker with us. How are you, Andre?
I'm absolutely fantastic. How are you? It's long time no see.
Yeah, it's been a while actually. Yeah, we used to do this regular Sunday shows on this channel, but then
I'm not.
obviously.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about going to the pub.
Oh,
I don't care about your show. I'm not bothered about your show. What are you on
great start,
about?
guys.
Doesn't bother me, right?
I don't
Look,
care.
you were always going to replace me with the better looking bird, weren't you? Right? Obviously.
Amazing. Well, you were never going to be a producer, so Lacey does a lot of things with behind the scenes and also on screen. So
Who's
you
got
can't
bigger boobs?
multitask. But brilliant. Welcome to the show. We have a lot to discuss. We have the live chat going on with everyone. All the regulars, moderators are there. I can see producer David is there. Hello, Andy Wright, Anna. Everyone's here, and we've just got our first super chat from our regular supporter, Stephen Bryson. £10 from Stephen. Thank you so much. And I'm going to start the show by talking about Keir Starmer. And I'm going to get Andre's opinion on this. And then we're going to talk about a lot of other things as well tonight, including Alex Belfield and the BBC. So stay tuned. But let's start by talking about the Labour Party quickly, because the leadership is not going too well for Keir Starmer. We've heard recently that he's planning to get rid of his shadow chancellor and his Dodds in the next reshuffle. But clearly there's this problem that's been created, and we have seen articles over the last couple of days, especially by Patrick O'Flynn, who said that Keir Starmer basically is the reshuffle is not going to save him. He's already finished with his honeymoon period, and he's not a Tony Blair character that people thought. He's more of a Ed Miliband, and I agree. Now, all this hype that's been created is not what it actually seemed like. He's losing the support of the trade unions. He's losing the support of the Corbynistas. He's losing the support of the Blairites and the moderates in the Labour Party. And all the northern seats of Red Bull are still supporting Boris Johnson. And we're also going to talk about Boris Johnson's government, because they're no angels either. But Andre, what do you think about Keir Starmer's performance so far?
Well, first of all, you've talked about the fact that we've got the live chat. I didn't know that both of us were going to be on camera permanently. So I've been looking down, drinking my beer and all sorts. So I'm a bit annoyed. On my shows, when you're not talking, you're off camera. But anyway, I can live with that. But look,
Get used to it.
in terms of Sir Keir Starmer, I genuinely think that channels like yours and mine were built on people who, traditionally would have supported the Labour Party. I hate this phrase, by the way, white working class. I think it's so insulting. I think it's patriotic, ordinary working class people, backbone of the country, the people who, stack the shelves, the people who farm the farms, the people who build the buildings. Those people are the backbone of this country. And Sir Keir Starmer doesn't appeal to them. Now, if you think about it, we take, I think, duty in elections really seriously. Most people want to elect somebody who's deadly serious. You notice quite often in the Prime Minister's own constituency, people will vote for him even when they were previously supporters of other political parties, because they believe the Prime Minister should always win. Okay. Look at Jeremy Corbyn. He was a man who was manifestly unqualified to be British Prime Minister. I'm not happy with everything that's taken place during the lockdown, but goodness me, we have seen a competent government do reasonably well in a difficult set of circumstances. Now, here's your issue. Jeremy Corbyn's interest in student union politics, and all of this Palestine this and nuclear that and all that sort of stuff that real people don't care about. No. But the reason why in the 2019 general election Labour were destroyed in the Red Wall is because of Keir Starmer's view on Brexit. Now, okay, it wasn't specifically people in Lee and the Blythe Valley and whatever. They weren't specifically going to the ballot box because they hated Keir Starmer. Mm-hmm. But what they were doing was they were rejecting the politics that he stood for. Yeah. And the fact that he's now leader, I say, Jeremy Corbyn was thoroughly incompetent.
Yeah, I mean,
and that is bad, and people will vote against that. But I do not see Keir Starmer, because he's competent, because of his politics, getting any more votes. I don't see it.
No, it really depends. If he is supposed to be the cure to the poison that was Jeremy Corbyn or Corbynism, we have to see what he's trying to fix. Is it competence in terms of management? Because that's not happening. Is it sounder policies? These policies are quite similar, actually. And apart from, Palestine. And but I don't understand what he actually stands for. And there are a number of issues. But quickly, before we continue, there's a comment from George who says, great to see you both giants together. Not sure if that's a physical comment, but I'll take it. Thank you so much.
Of course, the surprise. You invited me onto something last night called Discord, because obviously I wanted to watch. I only became aware of your live shows at 8 o'clock yesterday, but obviously I really wanted to watch one. So I entered the chat, and lots of people were going, "Oh my God, Andre's here," and whatever. But of course, what a lot of people will forget is not only are we good mates, but of course you helped me launch my channel. You talked me through the full thing, and you encouraged your supporters to follow me. So I'm always indebted to you. So we, even though we're not on camera together, obviously we're incredibly good mates.
And we will go back to the pub. We will take control of the pubs. And no,
I always, by the way, I always promised to do something for you, and I hope we're still going to do it. A lot of your viewers. So I went to your 100,000th subscriber party, right? And there were loads of people from the south of England. I said, we've got to go to the northwest. I want to introduce you, but I want to take you to like a working men's club in somewhere like Wigan and get you on stage there. I think that'd be sensational. So many of our viewers are from the north of England. We've got to get out of the south, pal. We're too southern, baby.
Absolutely. Let's do that. Well, we are going to go to the northwest after the lockdown, so Andre could be the MC again. Just quickly go to super chat. We have a £2 super chat from Paul. Thank you so much, saying he loves Andre. Basically, he loves you. So Paul loves you.
Everyone does.
And
everyone does. Apart from women. but that's a looks thing. That's a looks thing. It's not a comment thing.
Let's not get into that again. But before we get, because we have a couple of comments. Anna, one of our regulars, saying a Corbyn-led government leading us during the past year is nightmare fuel. And there's this thing about, at least with all the flaws of Boris Johnson's government and a lot of weird decisions that they made. Imagine if 2019 elections had a different result. Imagine.
Well, I do think, more than anything else, that so you and I are going to argue about things like lockdowns, length of them, and all this sort of stuff, right? But fundamentally, here's what I agreed with. I agreed with, look, get time to build the Nightingale hospitals. Now, people turn around and say the Nightingale hospitals never got used. I still think in that scenario, building them was a good idea, just in case. Yeah. Right? And this whole idea of overwhelming the NHS, I'm not sure that it's my duty to protect the NHS, but I do think having the NHS overwhelmed is a bad thing. What's become clear about this is that Boris Johnson's government took the view that procurement of vaccines was the be-all and end-all of the whole thing. And basically, every government was going to cock up everything because nobody knew what the hell was going on. But if you could nail procurement of vaccines, then in the end, you were going to come out smelling of roses. And now, from my point of view, what would have happened, and this is a fact, the Labour Party, the Liberal Democrats, the Scottish National Party, Plaid Cymru, the Green Party, if you're interested, all wanted us to go with the European Commission's procurement policy on vaccines. The lot, all of them. The only political parties that stood aside were obviously what Nigel Farage was doing. I can't remember whether it was Brexit Party at the time or whatever, and the Conservative Party. So it was only us who said that we should not be part of the European vaccines thing. Now, I always say on my channel, my Tousi's channel and Andre Walker's channel, we're not health channels. We're not here to debate what the vaccine is and what the vaccine isn't. However, and also we're not here to tell people to take medical treatment. That's their decision. But what we should be saying is it is the duty of every government to offer those medical treatments. And the United Kingdom did it because we ignored the Labour Party.
That's actually a very, very good point. One, we're not health experts. We're not going to say this is great or this is terrible. And you're right. As an option in any free society, the option should be there, and if you want to obviously use the treatment, and if you don't, it's up to you. That's actually a very fair point. I'm going to get into this issue with also the Tory party and the governments, not the Tory party. Because some people always mistaken the Tory party and Tory governments, and people think it's the same thing, but we know that it's not the same thing. But we have a super chat, £10 from Thomas Myers. Thank you so much, Thomas, for your support. And we got a couple of comments about the Labour Party. Eleanor says that the Labour Party should change their name because they no longer represent the working man. And that's absolutely spot on. And Alex Marman, one of our regulars, is also back with another £5 super chat saying that Starmer isn't forensic. He just doesn't have a position on any issues. And he's just Captain Hindsight, whilst Corbyn is just a permanent gap year student. I've always used to say that Corbyn is a student political activist in the clothing of a politician. And also quickly, PayPal, £2 from Tom Orgar saying, keep up the good work. Now,
but we've forgotten, but before, just to respond to your viewers there, and thank you for the comments, just to respond to that, look, what you've got to remember is it is not a good situation in a country to have no opposition.
Yep.
And for me, under Jeremy Corbyn, there was no opposition. The Labour Party is an important part of Britain. I don't intend to vote for it, but I lament its demise. Now, you know, if you look at what happened in 1997 when Tony Blair won, look, I agree that John Major's government needed to be put out of its misery. But the fact that the Conservative Party was completely crushed led to a whole host of things. And we came very near to the euro being brought in, but certainly our constitution was butchered in a huge number of ways. Political neutrality was removed in a huge number of areas. And so a one-party state is a manifestly bad thing. And for me, what upsets me is the way that the working class has been let down by a Labour Party now dominated by middle-class intellectuals. Maya, I've told this story a billion times, but I'm going to tell it again because some people haven't heard it. My dad is a member of Eastleigh Labour Club in the heart of what used to be Andy Burnham's constituency. And on a Saturday, it's a bit like Phoenix Nights, if I'm being totally honest. On a Saturday night in a Labour club, if it's your birthday, you buy dinner for everybody in the club. And there's two options. Of course, there's two options. Meat and potato pie or meat and potato pasty. There's not a vegetarian option. There's not a vegan option.
Yep.
There are no gender neutral toilets. They don't have a policy on non-binary acceptance, right? They believe in Britain's nuclear deterrent, defence of the Queen, defence of the working class, the cooperative movement, low taxation, British independence, and, you know, all of the things that, well, most of the things that the Labour Party agreed with as well. Clem Attlee didn't believe that Britain should capitulate to a foreign power. No, he did not.
Yeah.
He believed in raising standards for the working man. What the Labour Party has become is shameful.
Yes, and absolutely. And I think that there is this issue with the special North and South divide. And it's still funny that with all the flaws, the northern, obviously certain type of northern voters are still supporting Boris over all these guys. You know, we have some weird characters in the cabinet, you know, from your Matt Hancocks to Robert Jenricks and all the others, yet they still prefer this. So that says something. And I think one thing is, but firstly, you have some of your supporters coming here now. We got Brian Cobb, $10 super chat saying, Andre's subscribers are loyal. We follow him on other channels. We like you too, Maya. So that's great. Thank you so much.
Actually, I'm really surprised by that because I didn't know there was many people on my channel who weren't your subscribers as well. So Brian, thank you very much. I didn't really know.
It's called free trade. I gave you some, now you're giving me new subscribers. So thank you.
Well, no, you gave me about 40,000 and I'm giving you like 5. So let's just, sorry, 5 full stop, not 5,000.
And Paulie, £5 super chat saying, keep up the good work, Maya. And hello again, Andre. Cheers. The thing is, I kept talking about the Tory party as well. The Boris Johnson's government. I've been slightly frustrated today. Well, actually, recently, because this news came out a few weeks ago. They spent £2.6 million on a room, a media room, so that Boris Johnson could just stand there and answer questions to journalists. And they made a room so comfortable for journalists. Why do you want to make the environment so comfortable and friendly to journalists? You should make it the other way around. That's one thing. And firstly, I'm going to get your opinion on this, the room, and also how on earth they managed to spend £2.6 million on it. But the other thing that they're doing, we just found out, is that governments spend £500,000 a year on just delivering documents, pieces of paper, just driving them around London and Whitehall. Firstly, someone should really introduce encrypted emails to the government. I don't understand. And I'm pretty sure not all the documents are sensitive, so you could just actually email them. But what is happening? And as you're right, because there's no opposition, the bureaucrats, Whitehall, could get away with all this chaos.
Well, actually, I think you're slightly wrong, and I'll tell you on the press briefing room. I'll tell you the reason. So I used to be a member of Her Majesty's press lobby,
yep,
which is a private members club in the Palace of Westminster for senior journalists. There's something called a lobby room. There used to be one. Well, there's still one in Parliament. There used to be one in Downing Street, but obviously when Maggie put up the barriers, it took people time to get through security, so they stopped meeting there. Now, it used to be an official secret that there was the press briefing. And when you heard a source close to the Prime Minister, that's because it was said in the press briefing room to lobby correspondence by the press secretary. Now, let's be clear on this. People like you, people like me, people like Jeff Taylor, people like Alex Belfield doing this are never going to get into those meetings because it is a closed shop.
Yeah.
And just in the way that we smashed the closed shop in the 1970s in industry, I think we've now got to break the closed shop in media. Remember, Guido Fawkes has been told that he cannot be a lobby correspondent under any circumstances. Let me tell you, the guy's one of the biggest journalists in the country. He has way more power than somebody who's an assistant at The Guardian, and yet he can't get into the building. Right. The official reason they say is there can only be one journalist per seat in the press gallery of the House of Commons. That is nonsense because Adam Bolton doesn't sit there ever. The reason that Boris Johnson is creating this press room is in order to stream it live on things like YouTube.
Yeah.
So rather than the briefing taking place in private with a few journalists, it's going to be opened up to everybody.
Okay, I get that.
That is a good thing.
That's fine. But how did you spend £2.6 million? That's my problem. I don't have a problem with the concept of it. I don't understand.
The question was how the hell do you spend 2 points? Yeah, but hang on a second. How the hell do they all spend all this money? You know, you and I get invited because I was a member of the foreign press. Yeah. I get invited to foreign broadcasters all the time. Yeah. And they're all in ITN at Gray's Inn Road. Yeah. And they've got these studios that must cost like £10 million or whatever. And they've got fewer subscribers than us. And you think, literally, I've built my channel. I mean, I'm sat in my lounge, and the decor's a bit weird, on an old laptop with a webcam, right?
Yeah.
And we're doing better than them.
Yeah.
If you give people an unlimited budget, they will effing spend it.
Oh, absolutely. I'm going to get into a different topic. You also mentioned Alex Belfield. We're going to talk about that. But I need to catch up with a few super chats and a couple of other things. So, Fellasoid, £5. Thank you so much. Saying, if Starmer is for a republic, why did he accept a knighthood? The man is two-faced. Well, that's a fair point. But it's not really a surprise. He's a politician. That's why he's two-faced. Why would he not accept it? So, producer David, £5 super chats. Thank you so much. Saying, great pairing, Maya and Andre.
By the way, sorry, he's my producer for my Wednesday show. That's David Gibbs. Hang on a second, right? Why are you super chatting Maya? You're literally my producer, dickhead. Like, what are you doing? Jesus.
Family-friendly language. All right.
Sorry, I apologize. I'm just so surprised. Right. Literally, look, my own staff are not meant to be financially supporting another channel.
Okay, there's going to be a staff meeting after this. And we have Paul COWCHER, super chat, £2. Do you know Paul as well?
Yes, I do. Yeah, these are all my people. So had I done my own live show tonight, right? You owe me a dinner for this, right, pal? Right.
Amazing. We got another super chat from Paul saying, is the SNP screwed by Salmond? We will talk about.
Just to be clear on super chat, any super chats if you label it, I know Andre at the end of the super chat, Maya's going to add it to the dinner he's buying me for appearing today.
Oh god, okay, I'm going to have to censor some of them then. Oki Watashi, £5 super chat. Thank you so much. Oki saying, what is this after the lockdown you speak of? Well, yeah, some people think that obviously the lockdown would be extended. That's a whole different topic. We'll get into that as well. A lot of questions. Greg Jackson, £5. Thank you, Greg, a regular viewer, saying, when did Captain Hindsight become a Conservative MP? Rule Britannia. Well, he's a socialist who can't convince socialists to vote for him, and Conservatives don't still trust him. So that's the whole.
But that's a reasonable point, Maya, because in truth, somebody like Keir Starmer has more in common with Ted Heath than he does with Clem Attlee. True. And so in many respects, what you have is an awful lot of wets in the middle and not enough people who are A, genuine socialists, and B, genuine conservatives. And I think the Conservatives, to be fair, are in a lot better position than Labour, but Labour are in a bad way. And if I was, I don't know that super chat guy, but if I was a working class person sat in somewhere like Doncaster, then I would say, look, at the end of the day, Keir Starmer has turned it into a wet Conservative Party.
Yes, absolutely. And there is one very, very important debate when it comes to the North and South divide. And I caused this chaos on the channel a couple of days ago when it comes to dinner or tea. And the Northerners obviously completely took the different side, the wrong side, saying it's tea. You just said earlier that I should buy you dinner. Now the comment section, live chat is going crazy. All the Northerners are back out saying it's tea, not dinner. So you're Northern, but you said dinner. So what is it?
No, I'm traditional. Look at the size of me. It's breakfast, 11Cs, luncheon, afternoon tea, dinner, and supper. The traditional
Wow.
British 6 meals a day. And if you don't have a brace of pheasant and claret for breakfast, then you are not a proper Brit. The reason people in the north call it tea generally is a lot of working class communities would get up very early and they would have their dinner at a time when many other people had high tea, sort of 4 or 5 o'clock.
Exactly.
That's the reason it's called tea.
Yeah.
But I have dinner at 7 or 8 o'clock, so I stand by it.
Also,
you know the great thing about this, right? I get accused of being such a northern scumbag all the time by Southerners. It's great to have a channel where people say I'm not northern enough. I love that.
exactly. And actually, you had your producer donating, Lacey Butcher, just commented saying, "I'll donate to your next live stream, Andre, just to even things out." So there we go. Now we're even.
Brilliant.
No dinner needed.
No. That's specifically talking about one person. But you had Brian. You've had loads of them, right? You've had loads of them. It doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter. Okay. Look, I'll tell you what we'll do. I'll tell you what you will do. Given that you advised me to launch my channel, helped me every step of the way, and got me all of my first subscribers, I think we're probably even, right?
Brilliant. Well, we'll still go to the pub, regardless.
Oh, definitely.
I'm going to talk about Alex Belfield, but before doing that quickly, there's PayPal, £5 from Ferguson. Thank you so much. And also another £5 and super chat from Andrew saying for Andre. So the super chat is for Andre, but it's going to my channel. Amazing. By
the way, before I say anything else,
yep.
I've got my phone down here. So even though there's the two of us on the screen, I do like to look down and watch what's going on. So if people can see me looking down, it's not because I'm just pissed.
No. I'm also obviously checking the live chat, so that's absolutely fine. There is this issue with Alex Belfield and the BBC, and you've covered it on your channel. He made a video earlier about his views on this new upcoming GB News and Ofcom, and he makes certain points that I agree when it comes to Ofcom being difficult, and you agree with certain things he said. But I had an issue with this because he's going through this. Whatever's happening with the whole BBC thing, and the BBC say he's harassing them. He's saying he's just been a journalist. That aside, he went on this rant, very emotional rant, in my opinion, saying that Ofcom basically is evil. It's the worst thing ever. We know it's difficult, and YouTube is paradise, and we are professional. Everything, like basically YouTube is so professional. Everything's fine. That's the problem I have with what he said, and it's not true. At some levels, actually, Ofcom is less restrictive than YouTube, and we have seen, and I've said it, and you guys know that we are going through some problems with YouTube, and this channel is not that hardcore. So I don't understand what's going on. So what are your thoughts overall on that, but also generally when it comes to Alex Belfield's issue?
Well, I think there's a really important issue. If I can boil this down to something, a really important issue is this. I believe that media commentary, what we do, is an important thing, right? And it's an important thing that's come out of the rise of the internet. People have always wanted it. I think that what we are similar to, printing began effectively, as soon as printing began, people used it to produce pamphlets to explain various political issues. In the old days, newspapers were owned by politicians because it was indivisible. So I think that we are bringing that back. Right, so I think it's an extremely important thing, but obviously it's got to be edgy and it's got to be a little bit different. Now, what YouTube wants, and I can understand this, is to just be an entertainment platform. And it's not that they don't like us as individuals, they don't like our sector particularly. And so we have all these things with being demonetized and all this sort of thing. Right, now, just for people who don't know, I get demonetized all the time and I always appeal it and I always win. Because obviously the AI scans for certain keywords, and because we're talking about Black Lives Matter, because we're talking about lockdowns, because we're talking about coronavirus, the AI thinks that we've done, and then moderators come in. But all that is very expensive for YouTube in a bit of a waste. So I've said all the things that get you demonetized, haven't I? I'm
you
so
just
sorry.
Said everything that's going to make
literally the lot, right? Absolutely screwed you. I could see you. Is Lacey in the room? Is that the problem? Is she just going, stop him, right? But okay, I'm not going to say any of that, but it is a significant problem for them, and I understand that. Right now, the problem is this, right? So I think the one good thing about Ofcom, though I don't like it and I don't think it should exist, the one good thing about Ofcom is that it is heavily regulated itself, right? So it can't just go off half-cocked. The problem that you've got with something like YouTube is that YouTube, within its terms and conditions, says that they can throw you off for no reason at all. Now, they won't throw you off for no reason. But what happens is this. Imagine you got thrown off tomorrow and you went to court and proved it was a mistake. Then they would still be able to say, well, we can throw you off for no reason anyway. And so you have no protection there. At least with Ofcom, there are appeal procedures and all this sort of thing. And Ofcom, in reality, like most regulators, are much more keen to tell you how to stay within the rules. So if you think about the LBC innovation, and people forget this, the BBC has always said that what you have to do is have balance within a particular show, right? What LBC said, you have to have balance across the network. So what GB News are talking about is this. They're saying, yes, of course, Andrew Neil is going to be conservative in a way that he hasn't been on the BBC. But at the same time, he's going to invite Ash Sarkar to come on later to say he's talking rubbish, right? And so they kind of, and similarly, if you look at Talk Radio, they do have a Julia Hartley-Brewer, but they'll also have other people like Darryl Morris, who is a left-winger. Now, on the issue of Belfield, sorry, I've set this up too long, but on the issue of Alex Belfield, the reason I think it's important for us is this. Alex Belfield is, and I don't know the guy, but he's clearly a disgruntled employee of the BBC. And he's clearly set up his YouTube channel because he's been fired by the BBC. Now, I don't know that for a fact, but it seems pretty obvious because, you know, he's got an argument with them. Now, the only way you can do what Alex Belfield's done, build nearly 3,000 subscribers, all that stuff, is to be a whistleblower. And the only way you can be a whistleblower is if you're really angry. Right. And so I would argue that even if the reason he set up the channel is because he's a disgruntled employee, it still represents a genuine contribution to journalism. I think with you, I think you are a genuine contribution to journalism. I know that the journalist fraternity do not like this sort of commentary, but I'm afraid this is what journalism was built on. The boring stuff The Guardian does, nobody buys it.
Yeah, and you're right. And I think, again, the problem I have with what Alex Belfield was saying was he was taking the side of big tech, like YouTube. We know that they're not. If you think that Ofcom is against us, it's mainly the big tech.
Well, he's never. Well, what's annoying? Well, so the first thing about Alex Belfield to bear in mind is all of us talk about specific issues. And so from his point of view, he's never had a problem with YouTube. I've had significant problems with YouTube,
same.
As have you. But so for him, his experience is that YouTube. Now, what I would like to think the skill of you and I is that we will turn around and we will accept, even if it's good for us, something is bad. You heard me earlier saying the Labour Party's demise is a bad thing, right? Look, for me personally, for my friends, the Labour Party's demise is fantastic. For the country, it's bad. Now Belfield personally has got a problem with Ofcom and the BBC and doesn't have a problem with YouTube. I think on your channel, you'd say the lot of them need to be reformed.
Yes, definitely. That's a whole different thing. Okay, I've got to do a couple of things. We have a number of super chats. People obviously went through the effort to support, so I'm going to read their comments. But before we do that, we have over 2,000 people watching right now, but only 600...
That's because of me. Because of me.
only 653 likes. So click on the thumbs up button right now. It will help the channel and the video on YouTube. Now let's go to Timothy, who's given us a £5 super chat saying... Is
it Timothy Hallett?
Yes, it is.
Oh, here we go. Come on. All of them.
You won't be happy with this comment. It says, it's T. Andre. You know it's true as a proper Northern boy.
Well, you know something, Tim Hallett. Where's the loyalty? Where's the loyalty, right? I get you on my Wednesday show every single week, put you on second or third, right, to talk about it. I never complained that you were overweight and bald, and never even said it, right? And then you're having a go. You're having a go. What's your problem, pal?
Brilliant. The English Loyalist, $10. Thank you so much. Saying,
one of mine as well. Yeah. I've had him. I've not had him. I mean, no.
One of mine. You have great content, Maya. Be sure to take time off and don't get overwhelmed by hard work that you do. What are the chances that the North will go back to Labour? Not yet. they're going to have to go through Reformation again until.
I think the bigger question in answer to that is how much will the Conservative Party have to pay for Northern England, and I think that the big advantage the Conservative Party has got is what Northern England is crying out for is an end to social security and a start to infrastructure and genuine investment.
Yeah.
And I think that this Northern Powerhouse Rail and stuff like that I think is really, really important. And I think to build real industry, because look, the northwest of England, where I'm from, I don't know as much about the northeast, but they want to be the workshop of Britain. They want the factories, they want the industry there. And I think that the Labour Party, I wouldn't call them the Labour Party. One of your viewers said they should change the name. They should change it from Labour to Claimer Party. It should be, because they're not interested in working people. But my comment is, I think Boris Johnson will bring the infrastructure needed for the north of England to rise again. And I think that the Conservative Party Northern England will sell its votes to the Conservative Party in exchange for a huge amount of money from Southern English taxpayers, but it will be spent on sensible stuff like proper regional rail, like better roads, like better infrastructure, getting 5G rollouts, stuff like that.
It is a tricky situation because people thought the perception is in the north and working class areas, they vote Labour because they're socialists. It's not necessarily socialism that they want. It is a bit big government. It's more Keynesianism. They want government infrastructure spending, that sort of thing. Things that I don't like. Things that I don't want the state to be involved in. But this is what the...
Well, they set up... the other thing is they set up the party. They literally set it up to represent them. And they are fiercely independent about all that. And they feel extremely upset. Now, if you had set up a political party yourself and then it walked away from you, it takes a lot for you to finally dump your support for it. Yeah. And the reason the trade unions will put Labour MPs in, get them selected and whatever, is because they say, no, this is an NUM area. So the NUM pick the Labour MP, and I can understand that. I think that's an actually better situation than a group of lawyers in London deciding to lord it over the north of England, something which, to be fair, the Conservative Party has never done.
Yeah, exactly. I fully agree with that. Let's go to a couple of others because I'm still behind the super chats. I got Greg Jackson again, £5, thank you, saying, can we have a mass vlog with Andre, Michael, Jeff, Alex, and yourself, Maya? Be great to watch, especially if it's after the watershed. It will be chaotic because we're also different characters.
well, actually, can I answer that? I think part of the problem, Maya, is that you and I are willing to work together. Other people are much more difficult.
Yes.
And I think that is something that's been a bit of an issue. I don't want to talk too much about the Disrupt channel, but fundamentally, it is hard to do a deal with certain people.
Yes, I mean, and also with Alex Belfield, I've messaged him to come on the show, but no reply. So we have invited them. Now we have Alex Marman again saying Alex Belfield has said some nice comments about both of you. However, he has one problem with Maya, and that is that you are much cleverer than him. So
no, I'm gonna pull you up on that. I had a specific conversation with Alex Belfield because I phoned him when he was first in trouble because I thought he'd been thrown off YouTube, and in fact I made a video about why he got thrown off YouTube, which turned out to be completely wrong, so I had to take it down. Right, but I've been wrong before. But actually, what he said was he really likes the Maya channel because it is more intelligent. He said what he likes to do is just very quickly throw out lots of ideas, whereas Maya kind of digs into much more detail. Mm-hmm. What I try and do on my channel is I always think of somebody going to the pub, and my aim is that person will hear about an issue that's important, hear about the argument about why I feel why I do about it, and one or two facts. Yeah. So people often kind of criticize my videos, and I love, by the way, that there's channels that literally are dedicated to call me a knob. Sorry about language, but effectively what they say is he's saying this, but he's not explained whatever. Yeah. My aim is not to explain every single detail, nor is it to close the door on everything. It's just to throw out some ideas. So for me, oh, and by the way, on Jeff Taylor, I mean, the guy's delivery is awful, but the content's sensational.
I like the content.
Do you know, me and my dad maintains that Jeff Taylor's a comedian because he goes, hello there. Like,
Hello
and
there.
you always get the sense that he's kind of wearing a knickers and bra under all that. Do you know what I mean? Like he's a total laugh in real life. Sorry, should I not said that.
We are so demonetized. Anyway, we have third generation, £5 super chat. Thank you. Saying,
Third generation pig, yeah, mine.
saying you two should do a duet show more often. Great show. So here is a contribution to your meal. Long live Andres, Army, and Maya's minions.
Actually, we should. Do you know something? The reason that we do not do a weekly show together is because we always wanted to be in the same room together.
Yeah.
And what I always hate it. So I love coming on your channel, but I hate doing it like this.
Yeah.
I much prefer kind of being in the same. And I think that what we should do is we should promise to say we'll do more together.
Yeah.
But genuinely, I'd like to do it over a beer, even if it's in your office, because
Or
I think
in a pub or something. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, we could have a new format when pubs open. They're gonna open soon.
You invited me to your office, and it was sensational. You specifically got an office that had a bar downstairs and all that sort of stuff, and it was great. But we only managed to get in there once before the lockdown.
No, we'll definitely do it in a pub somewhere.
By the way, for all the viewers, Lacey's looking at him, going, "No, don't agree." What she's doing is she's saying the reason he's saying it on air is because he knows you have to say yes, right? That's what she's doing. But the problem is, Lacey, I've just screwed you, right? It doesn't matter. He's agreed now. It's done. Right, it's done. And there are now 2,000 people watching. So what can you do? Right, it's over.
I have no idea how to respond to that. But
I totally set him up, and she knows. She goes, "Stop talking about. Change the subject. Change the subject."
Anyway.
Because the problem is, viewers, the reason is she's looking at the demonetisation and thinking, you can't let this nutter riot on the channel every week, can you? we can do it on my channel, don't worry about it.
Amazing. Okay, there are a lot of people who donated. I need to read out their comments. We got Paul COWCHER again. Thank you for £2 saying, thank you two, for all you do. I mean, all Andre's done is cause chaos tonight, but it's absolutely amazing. Big Boom of Doom, £5, thank you, saying Reform UK should be the main opposition to the Conservative Party. By the way, we're developing a space program. You guys should talk about this exciting stuff. Actually, on this point, well, not the space stuff, but to be fair, I'm obsessed with what's happening with Elon Musk. But you were talking about Labour Party in opposition. Of course, Her Majesty's opposition needs to be competent, but when it comes to the survival of the Tory party, if you want the Tory party to perform better, you need opposition from the right. Mm-hmm. When you had UKIP, when you had Nigel Farage, Brexit party, that's when the Tory party feels the threat. If you have opposition from the left, the Tory party actually becomes more left-wing. They want to out-Labour Labour. I don't know what you think.
Yeah, look, this is a real geek subject, but I think it's really, really important. You've got to remember, the way to become MP for Windsor is to win the Conservative nomination for Windsor. Most people are in the same boat. The likelihood of you changing the way a parliamentary constituency votes is infinitesimally small.
Yeah.
The problem is, what's happened is, time and time again, central political parties have taken power away from ordinary people. Now, the Conservative Party under David Cameron had a good idea, which was primaries, whatever. The problem is, all that ever happened was a female GP won the nomination every single time. For me, what I would like to see is I'd like to see much more independence of individual MPs. Now, look, the American primary system is harder to operate with in a much smaller country. But I do think it's a good idea whereby, and just to explain to people who don't understand the way it works, if you're in America, you register, if you want to, as a Democrat, or you register as a Republican, or you register as nothing at all. And that includes registering as independent or saying you're nothing. Now, everybody who is either independent or Republican gets to vote in the Republican primary. So if you're in, I suspect, somewhere like Alabama, you know the Republicans going to win, but also the Republicans have their own election to decide who is going to be the Republican candidate. But in addition to that, the independents get to vote as well. Yeah. And so I think that is much more interesting, because I think part of the problem that we have in Britain is the brand Conservative, because people will constantly say, I'm voting for David Cameron, I'm voting for Boris Johnson. We are political commentators with degrees in political science. We've said that ourselves, right? Because that's the way it feels. But actually, I'm voting for Adam Afriyie in Windsor. But, I've not really thought about Adam Afriyie. I've thought about Boris Johnson.
Yeah, no, that's actually a fair point. I mean, to be fair, I've been ranting about the the changes that the system needs a lot on the channel, and I will continue to do that.
Well, a lot of people will remember something. A lot of people said that you should be the candidate for Mayor of London. Now, frankly, I will say I think that was a reasonably good idea. And frankly, I think the London Conservative Party, had they been given the choice, would have seriously considered it. Now, whether you wanted to run or not, I don't know, but they would have seriously considered it. And I would have liked to have had that debate.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you, but we've got two very important messages from LACEY Butcher in the live chat. One saying, Andre, you and I need to have a chat after this. You're in trouble, Andre. The second one is it's more important. LACEY Butcher has sent a £50 super chat saying, donating in full knowledge that this video won't be monetized.
No, that's nonsense, right? You think about it. You've read out the number of super chats from my supporters, right? 2,000 viewers at the moment, right? The monetization wasn't going to make up as much money as the super chats have. Don't worry about it.
No, it's fine. And actually, on that note, I do need to quickly catch up. I will go back to a couple of conversations. But John Bird, £20 PayPal. Thank you so much, saying keep up a good work, Maya. Thank you, John. Also, Neil Butler is back. Thank you, Neil, with £10, saying, as a southerner, I agree that we need to invest in the north. I have northern friends, so you can get Andre a beer with his dinner from me. Brilliant. That's good. And also, we got Greg Jackson again. Thank you so much, Greg, saying, what will happen regarding independence referendum 2 if the SNP take the main vote, followed by Alba on the list vote? It should not be an unofficial referendum. Well, the government, the central government, has to give permission. They can't go rogue. Like, it's not Catalonia.
And that's an important point, Maya. I'll tell you why. Because this whole idea, where what they're going to do is they're going to. By the way, remember the Scottish Parliament is the House of Commons. Let's just remember that.
Yeah.
What happens in Scotland is effectively a regional assembly. But anyway. What Nicola Sturgeon thinks is going to happen is, under the social contract theory, because Indy Ref 2 won the parliamentary election, she is going to persuade councils up and down Scotland to have ballot boxes for an unofficial referendum. Let me tell you, Scotland is not Mozambique, right? If you attempt to do that, returning officers in councils in Scotland will refuse to do it. Yeah. And if they do not refuse to do it, if they're instructed by the Scottish government, the Scottish courts will strike it down.
Yes, absolutely spot on. I mean,
this is the problem. The SNP thinks that Scotland's a joke country. Yeah. It is not a joke country. No. It's a serious place. It has contributed as much to the judicial system in the United Kingdom as England has. And if you think you're going to pull a stunt like that, you're talking rubbish.
Oh yeah, and all this agenda with the independence and isolation, it's not for the people in Scotland. They don't care about the people in Scotland. It's all very emotional and personal for the people who want it, like Sturgeon and the others. It's just a very nostalgic, emotional thing that it's just about themselves.
Do you know? I saw something, Maya, which I was so impressed by. I saw a group of people when I went up for the Scottish referendum. I was in Edinburgh, and there was a family that had turned up from Northampton. Now, I didn't know there was a big Scottish community in Northampton, but our friend Will Hanley told me there was. And this family turned up and they said, "We are Scottish people," and they said they had the passports there to say, "So born in this ward. We would like to vote in the Scottish referendum. We live in Northampton." They said people resident in England cannot vote. And they said, "No, we think as Scottish people we should be allowed." And the returning officer said, "That is not the law." And I asked them afterwards, I said, "Well, are you mad?" And they said, no. They said, no. They said, "No, we knew we'd be turned away. But actually, this is a vote as to whether to destroy the United Kingdom. And actually, we are born in Scotland. And the truth of the matter is, you could rent a flat 6 months before the referendum as an English person, Welsh person, anybody, doesn't matter. And you would get to vote. And yet genuine Scottish people in England who, remember, on paper, technically, could have lost their right of residence, were not able to vote. That doesn't make you a Scottish patriot. No. That makes you just a joker.
No, yeah, that's a fair point. If it comes to it again, this referendum is going to be quite messy, worse than the 20.
By the way, I was impressed with those people. I still wouldn't have driven from Northampton. I mean, it was still a bit of a waste of time.
Going back to the super chats, we've got £20 from BRUTALFACEPAIN saying keep up a good work. And
that's to me, by the way. That's not to you.
And also, MOONSWAN SILVERLIGHT, one of our moderators, £5. Thank you so much. Okay, they've got a couple of others as well. I think these are good questions. We've got another £10.
Hey, listen, Paul COWCHER sent a super chat, one of mine. He said, "Maya's about to take a heart attack."
I haven't got to that one yet, but big Boom of Doom 2, another £10. Thank you so much, saying, I understand why we should have a nominated upper house, but I'm worried that candidates will run on popular politics and not expertise and experience. The upper house serves a different purpose. Yeah, absolutely right. I'm not really. I'm in favor of reforming the messed up situation we're creating in the Lords with all the political appointees. But I don't really think that creating an elected Senate in that sense, it's the same reason I don't really think that a republic would work in this country. The electing head of state, making the head of state political, is actually a bad idea. What do you think?
Yeah, I think the fundamental problem is this. Here's a shocking statistic for you. David Cameron put more people in the House of Lords than Henry VIII and Elizabeth I combined. Right, now that is a pretty shocking thing.
Impressive.
But the reason is this. The problem is Tony Blair put in a load of people, what I call the 99ers. In 1999, he abolished the hereditary peerage, so he raided the working men's clubs of Northern England and stuck all these people in. So when you walk around the House of Lords, you hear people going, "Hey up, chap," and all that sort of stuff. They're all 99ers. You know, Baron Bagshaw of Wigan and all this sort of stuff. Now, I don't have a problem, ultimately, of Northerners going in there. I have a problem with the standards dropping. But of course, if you play that game where somebody appoints 100 Labour peers, then you come in and you go, right, I need 150 Conservatives. Right, and also Nick Clegg insisted that there was a proportionate number of Lib Dems. So they appointed, and the figures are crazy, something like 150 Lib Dems or something. One of them, Baroness Tousi, was on the London Assembly. They wanted her to stand down from the London Assembly, and they gave her a peerage in exchange. So local government seat. It's nonsense. Right, here's what you've got to do. First of all, you've got to put a limit on it, right? But I also think you've got to get back some sort of link to areas. So remember, when the House of Lords was first created, the American Senate, by the way, represents particular states, because originally the Lords represented the counties, didn't they? Because it was the Duke of Northumberland, the Earl of Chester, people like these sorts. And now, of course, it doesn't represent anything other than itself. If you look at the TV show Downton Abbey, the problem that the Earl of Grantham has is that previously he was a representative of that part of Yorkshire in the House of Lords, and it's now turning from Downton Abbey being a regional HQ for government to being a private house. And that's fundamentally the problem that he's having with the whole thing. Now, I think you've got to return that. Now, for me, the solution, I think, potentially lies in something like what Simon de Montfort did with the first ever parliament, where he called representatives from each community. So it may well be that something like, if you were to get rid of the House of Lords, I'd do something like have the mayor of each county being the House of Lords or something like that.
Yeah, you just need to bring back the level of competence that we used to have. By the way, you've been moaning all night that all your people are coming to give me money and all that, but we just had Jack Godbert Brown saying, Andre is an absolute hero. How have I not come across him before? So he's going to now subscribe to your channel. So there we go. I'm giving some of my people to you too. So and what do we have here? We got Alex, another £2 from Alex saying, hope you both do Plank of the Week again soon. We can't. Well, I can't now because with Talk Radio Studio, they're only using people who have the pass, and my pass expired a while ago. And so that's why we only have Dawn Neeson and I think Kevin. I don't know who. They just do regular.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is with Talk Radio, they are very, very locked down at the moment. And frankly, it's not Talk Radio. It's News UK. They're a big corporation, and they've got all these rules and whatever. And remember, for most of News UK, they do newspapers, right? And people can write articles from their laptops at home. Do you like that, by the way? No, I'll tell you something. I've enjoyed coming on this show, and I'm willing to apologise to Lacey. I think she'll put up with it. You know?
No, she has.
And also the ratings are good, right? The ratings are always good. I'm a ratings winner. I'm always a ratings winner.
Yeah.
No, apart from when producer David persuaded me to do a show about Chris Whitty, which nobody watched, right? And Tim Hallett as well, if he's here.
Absolutely amazing. Before we wrap up, there's a couple of other things as well. Again, Big Boom of Doom is back, saying that Daniel Hannan is now a member of the House of Lords. More like this, please. Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with Dan Hannan, and he's a great.
And also Syed Kamal.
Well, yeah, actually, Saeed, I forgot about Saeed. Yeah, I've got two of our good friends are now in the laws, and you just need people who know the system and would respect the tradition, rather than just take advantage of it, like Saeed Awasi or people like that. So,
The big advantage of Dan Hannon, by the way, is he loves making speeches, and that's what the job's about, contributing to the debate.
exactly.
So he's sensational. Oh, and by the way, nobody watches Dan Hannon's YouTube anymore.
I know.
But it really is excellent.
Oh no, absolutely. There was a time like years ago, like 5, 6, 7 years ago, when he was making all these European Union videos, and he was really good. And I used to watch them. But
The only criticism I've got of his YouTube channel is in Europe, the only way you could speak was a 1 minute explanation of votes. So I've watched his House of Lords speeches. They tend to be quite short. He makes 1 point, but I think in the fullness of time, he'll make longer speeches. But what I like about it is, and this is what Nigel Farage did, and it's why Farage really became famous, clipping out your speeches and putting them online. People enjoy them.
Exactly.
What is that? There's a YouTube channel that literally just gets good speeches from the House of Commons and puts them up. Forget what would. By the way, that takes the mick, because you're not allowed to run adverts on House of Commons footage.
Oh, really?
So all they're doing is, but they'll never sue you because it's the House of Commons. So he just does. So I'm sure he's doing it deliberately just for money. Anyway,
there are on a separate note, there are a lot of calls in the live chat about all of us meeting up in a beer garden in 2 weeks. So prepare your liver, Andre. Apparently that's happening now, and
I'm really keen to do it. And I'll tell you something as a genuine thing as we come to the close of the show. It's been a terrible, terrible thing for me, because obviously my mother was diagnosed with lung cancer, and it was very difficult to visit her and all that sort of thing. And I think people forget, in some respects, mental health is the new bad back, isn't it? There's so many people claiming, but everybody is worse off as a result of this lockdown. Now, I'm not saying the lockdown was a bad idea. I'm saying that it has to end. Right. That's the important thing. And for me, everybody has struggled to a greater or lesser extent. And I think that we've got to recognise that. And my criticism of the government is, they've got to balance things. They've got to recognise that, I miss meeting up with you, Maya, genuinely. Now, it's ludicrous to say that my mental health has declined as a result of not seeing you, but it's the cumulative effect, isn't it? And I don't even call it mental health. I'm just a bit annoyed, right? But I do look forward to us all meeting up together. And I'll tell you something else, Maya. We have talked long and hard about, after that 100,000 subscriber event, the number one thing that I said about that was we should have done a longer thing and whatever and done it during the day. I'm determined for us to do that. By the way, once again, he's just said yesterday, and Lacey once again, she's going, no, don't get into it. Now you're doing a double header. Right? What are you doing? I told you not to have him on. Told you not to. You knew he was going to do this, right? So the Myron Andre tour, all sorted, 20 quid a ticket, right? So no. Oh, it's a nightmare. And we've been demonetised. It's a nightmare. And all he did was he got a few of his friends to send you 2 quid in the hope you wouldn't mind.
Absolutely amazing. Okay, there is one last question that we have to end the show. It's actually a good one, to change the topic completely. But before we do that, 1,335 likes. Click on the thumbs up button. It takes half a second and it will help the channel, definitely. And also subscribe if you haven't subscribed. If you've come here from Andre's channel, stay with us. And also stay with Andre as well. Click on the thumbs up button.
No, stop. Not stay with Andre. If you are not an Andre subscriber, subscribe to Andre.
I was getting to that.
This whole thing's been one way. I don't know why I'm bothering.
This is biased. All right. Obviously, yes, definitely check out Andre's channel if you haven't yet. Andre J. Walker is on YouTube. Hopefully it should come up in search, because the YouTube has been very difficult recently. I'll just put the link in the description after the show anyway, so for people who are watching it afterwards. But Sebastian Samuel, one of our regular supporters, has come out with a super chat, £3.50, saying, what are your thoughts on a UK Bill of Rights as a higher law? This is a good one. What's your opinion on the UK Bill of Rights?
Okay, we've got a significant problem here. And the significant problem is this, that the British Constitution is based, by the way, when people say we don't have a constitution, we do. Yeah. We have an old constitution, and it's one of the best constitution in the world. Oh, by the way, we do have a Bill of Rights, but it's been so superseded that just ignore that detail. What you're really asking is, should we have a set of laws that cannot be overturned easily by government, and that we have a Supreme Court that can strike down a particular piece of law? I don't think that's actually the answer. I think the answer is that people should respect the Constitution we've got. Now, let me give you an example here. Right. The Queen cannot be prosecuted for any crime. But it is not true to say that she could take a gun out and machine gun people on the streets of Windsor, right? That is not true. It's true on paper. It's not true in reality. The idea that we can have all of our rights stripped from us because there is no prohibition on paper, that is not the British Constitution. I think we need to recognise that the British Constitution enshrines certain rights. And how does it enshrine them? By a simple concept that's really important. Everything is legal other than those things that are made illegal. And so what it really means is this: I was born with freedom of speech. I was born with the right to free association. I was born with the right to protest. I was born with the right to assembly. You do not decide my freedom of speech. I decide my freedom of speech. Yeah. The only time there's a prohibition is in very, very extreme circumstances. And that used to be true, didn't it? Because what they said was, you do have free speech, you can say whatever you want. But if you incite violence against people, then that's not freedom of speech, that's inciting violence. Definitely. It's changed now. We violated the Constitution. We need to get that back. And the way you get it back is ballot box. Here's the thing that Steve Bannon said to me when I worked for him. Elections have consequences. You've got to vote for the guy who is going to respect the British Constitution. Because have we not seen how easy it is to melt away? Do you know why this lockdown's gone on so long? Because the majority of people love it.
Yes,
that's the reason.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that there's this thing about, you were talking about the Constitution, also rights. Negative rights are rights. Positive rights are completely different. Negative rights, such as things that you're born with. You know, in America they say God-given rights. You know, because that's what they do. But you know, here we just say, you know, as a human. So free speech and basically not being coerced. So the rest of it is as long as the people in the system, the establishment, and ordinary people out there respect the system that we already have, it will work perfectly. That also includes...
But also, Myra, I want to say something else about lockdown protests. The reason I don't go on them. There's no point in fighting a copper over this. Right? He's a professional law enforcer. The debate about the violation of the English Constitution, British Constitution, runs deeper than this. But we need to have that debate. So Charles Walker, I mean, I didn't get the milk bottle thing. I don't understand that. But I did see he has been standing up continually saying that what is going on is unconstitutional. We need to have that debate. But the problem is, fighting a police officer is not, you know, it doesn't answer any question, because what's happened is the government has claimed its right to violate the British Constitution, to take away our rights. Yeah, no,
you're right. I mean, whether it's the protests or the actual lockdown as a concept and everything else, there are deeper problems if you want to debate it or reform it. It's not just on the surface, whether it's the police officers or anything else. There's some chaos happening on live chat. Lacey Butcher, another super chat, £20 super chat. She actually added producer David, saying, I feel for you, bro. And then David has replied saying, I need a few tips. Thanks, Lacey. I need a few tips being a producer, albeit it's for one show. I don't know exactly what's happening there, but our producers are going.
Can I tell you something? Can I tell you something? If I've ruined your relationship with your producer, I'd love it. Right? It'd be superb. Like, if you have to spend all week apologising for me, because let's recall one thing that I said on Discord last night. The only reason I've got a carpet cleaner is because one night you came to my flat and were tired and emotional all over the carpet, right? Never paid me. He's never paid me back. Never paid me back.
You told me not to pay it. Nothing happened, by the way.
I know I told you not to pay it, but you still never paid me back. Well, remember when I go, oh, it doesn't matter, you're meant to go, you can have the money. And that's the rule, isn't it? Everyone knows that.
What are you doing?
Everyone knows that. Everyone knows that.
I'll get you doing it, Auntie. Now, brilliant. Finally, we got Crypto Alchemist, £2 super chat saying, lost business to COVID. Thanks for the real truth. Well, that's the other thing about what's been happening. Anyway. You were talking about mental health, but also people's businesses and livelihood. So,
absolutely.
Regardless of our views on whether we should protest or not, whether we should target the police or not, that's a whole different topic. But in terms of the actual cause and everything else, of course, a lot of people, including us, have been affected. Obviously, you went through some personal family issues as well, which kind of was quite tough during the lockdown. So it is what it is. But let's end the show on a lighter note. Yeah, say something more positive.
Yeah, look, I've enjoyed being bombastic on this, but I want to thank you, Maya, not just for what you've done for me in terms of helping me with my channel, but also for energizing this movement. I said at your 100,000 subscriber party that you are the godfather of the conservative commentary movement. It's a movement that actually has been under fire from certain sides, but I genuinely believe that things like GB News and Talk Radio wouldn't have happened if you'd have started up. And I'm so proud to be able to say, I watched your first ever video, and do you know something? It didn't really work because you had a load of people that weren't that good, and very few people watched it, and most people said it was terrible. I told you to keep going. I think you have built this movement. I think you are there. You are obviously the spiritual head of this movement. I want to thank you for inviting me on the show. I want to thank you for helping me build this channel. And I want to say thank you to all the viewers from your channel and my channel that came on today.
Well, and I thank you massively for all the support. And everybody else, don't forget, after this, go on Andre's channel, Andre J. Walker, a YouTube channel.
No, it's JP. JP. He doesn't even know the name. JP. Look, so he's saying he watches it, right? Doesn't even know what it's called. Andre JP Walker, right?
Andre
doesn't even
JP
know.
Walker.
I'm a regular viewer, Andre. I'm a regular. Doesn't watch. Never seen any of it. Doesn't know anything.
No, I do. I do watch it. Do you know what? How I know it? Because every single time you start your videos, you go like this. I don't know why. Your arm just open like this. Hello.
I always think it makes me look thinner because it removes the man breasts.
Absolute chaos. But no, definitely, guys, check out Andre's channel, Andre Walker, on YouTube. His face is on the profile picture, so you shouldn't miss it. And finally, we have one last super chat, £5 from Paul Kelly, saying it's an English constitution and an English Bill of Rights. That's a whole different debate. We could get into it another day. 1,544 likes. Before we finish, click on the thumbs up button if you haven't. Thanks again for watching. Thanks again, Andre. We'll see you guys in the next video.